Morning. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding in the portion of Mishpatim, and we're holding on chapter 22, verse number 4. Yivar ish sadeh, if a man leads his animal into a field, like him into a vineyard, the shilach has beira and lets his animal loose, uvir b'sei achar, and eats another person's field. Meitiv Sadeu, Meitiv Kaimir Shalom, he pays the best of his vineyard and the best of his field. Now she says, all of these terms are nate and animal, as it says, we and our cow, Nachnu Bidenu. So the concept of Yavar means the concept of an action that happens through the animal. Yavar leads his animal into the name of field or vineyard and damages the property. One of these two ways, either by sending shiluach by the animal or by eating beer. It can be either by the foot or by the mouth. So he's explaining the shilach refers to the damage made by the treading of the foot. Uvir comes from the damages that happens through the tooth. So shen v'regel in the Gemara, stay acha in another person's field. Meitiv sadeu. Rashi says, what does that mean? The Gemara says, the Gemara Baba Kama. The judges assess the damage, and if he, the owner of the animal, comes to pay him, the owner of the animal, the owner of the land, the amount of his damage with land, he must pay in the best of the fields. So the Gemara we learn is Idias, Bainis, and Zeburis. In the halacha, there's a concept of Idias, the best of the fields, is the middle road of the fields, and then Zeburis, the weakest, the most ungood fields, whatever you want to call it, the bad fields. And there are different things that you have to pay from different places. Certain things I must pay from Idias, from the best. Certain things I can pay from Bainis, from the middle, and certain things I even can pay from the worst of my fields. So he must pay the best of it. The damage is worth a seller. He must give him the value of a seller, the best of his land, as he has. Torah teaches us that for the injured party, they assess the damages from the best of the land. I said there's certain places where you can give the best, certain places the middle, and certain places as we go through the laws of the Torah. He says, if a fire goes forth and finds thorns, and stacks of grain, or standing grain, or a field, Shalim Yishalim, the one who ignited the fire, Esabeda, the one who ignited the fire shall surely pay. Ashi says, Kiseitze Eish, even by itself, Umatza Kaitzim, I found thistles, Venechel Godish, fire caught onto the thorns until it reached the stacks of grains, standing grains still attached to the ground. I saw a scorched a flower that they had plowed and had plowed it the second time. Shalim Shalom Mama. Although he ignited in his own property, and it spread by itself to thorns that it found. So I made a fire in my property. Why should I be responsible if the fire goes out of my property? So he's liable to pay because he didn't guard his burning coals, so that it would not go forth and inflict damages. Verse number 6. A man gives his name of money or articles for safekeeping. And it was stolen from the man's house, from the watchman's house. If the thief is found, Yishalim Shleim, he pays double. So now we're going to learn the laws of a watchman, and there is a unpaid watchman, a paid watchman, one who borrows. It's also the level of a watchman, one who rents a full watchman's in the Torah, and they're each going to be a different law. So if a guna basically feeds Varov, according to the watchman says, he gave me this watch to watch, and I got stolen. I'm an unpaid watchman. The thief pays twofold the value of the owner. If the thief was not found, then the owner approaches brings the homeowner to be approached to the judges to swear. So the watchman has to over here needs to swear that he did not touch the object. The guy gave him to watch, not to use. If he used the object that it was given to watch, now he becomes negligent. If he just put it into his closet and then somebody broke into his house and stole it, then he's not responsible. So and this custodian comes, who's the owner of the house, his house. The judge litigate with the owner to swear to him that he not lay a hand upon a top. I'll call Dvar Pesha. You're going to see a cloud, pratu cloud, classic cloud, pratu cloud. General, singular, general. I'll call Dvar Pesha on any sinful word. Alasher, Balachamer, on an ox or on a donkey. Al Salma, on a sheep or on a garment. Now it goes back to the cloud. On any lost article. Which the guy will say, this is what happened. He was there. I will soon see what that means. Both parties are brought before the judge. If the judge declares him guilty, he pays double. What is the meaning of this? Al kol dvar pesha means if this watchman made a vow that he didn't touch the object, or that the object was stolen, and now we have witnesses that it's actually in his house, he's the ganav. So he made a vow. Since he made a vow, that's when he pays double. So if he's found lying in his oath, the witness testified that he himself stole it, the watchman stole it. And the judges declared him guilty because his testimony of the witnesses. And that's why he pays double. Shall he pay double to his neighbor? The Torah teaches us that if one puts forth a claim concerning any item entrusted to him, saying that it was stolen from him, and he discovers that he himself stole it, he must make a twofold restitution. When is this so? Only if he swore that he did not take it. And afterwards, witnesses came and testified that he did take it. Then he pays double. So have our rabbis of blessed memory interpret the verse, and the homeowner approached the judges. This approaching means to make an oath that the custodian swore that the article was stolen. You say that he approached for an oath, or perhaps it means he approached for only a litigation. In this case, if he comes to litigation and he denies any responsibility by saying the object was stolen, then he is immediately liable for twofold restitution if witnesses come and testify that he's in possession. The answer is that since the expression laying a hand mentioned here, and below laying a hand is also mentioned, the oath of the Lord shall be between the two of them, provided that he did not lay a hand upon his neighbor's property. That means he needs to take an oath. It needs to be in the law of a custodian that he takes an oath. So if the guy doesn't want to take an oath, then he's not responsible. Then he doesn't have to pay. Sure, he doesn't have to pay back because he don't want an oath from him. If the guy takes an oath, then he doesn't have to pay back. If for example, the guy wants an oath from him and the custodian doesn't want to make an oath, then he has to pay. But this also, once he makes the oath and now we have witnesses, then he pays double. Just as lay the hands further denotes an oath, so to lay the hands denotes an oath. So it's a concept of an oath. It must be in this aspect, the aspect that he says an oath, but I did not touch it. According to the simple meaning of the verse concerning the witnesses, will say that this is the articles about you swore, was stolen, but really in your possession. The pleas of both parties must be brought to the judge, and the judge will interrogate the witnesses. And if they, the witnesses, are acceptable, then the judge declares the custodian guilty. He must pay twofold to the owner. If they declare the witness guilty, namely they were found to be found elusive, then they must pay twofold to the custodian. That's called the Eidim Zayim. Later we'll soon learn that. The rabbis of blessed memory are interpret that this is it, to mean that the judges do not demand an oath of him, the custodian, unless he admits part of the claim against him, saying, I owe you this much, but the rest was stolen from me. This is an interesting law of a maida b'miktsas. Maida b'miktsas means that either the custodian, or let's say I come to a person, I tell the guy, you owe me $100. We have no witnesses. And the guy says, I only owe you $50. That's what's called a maida b'miktsas. I asked for 100, and the guy said 50. That is meaning of kiyuzeh. He says, no, it's only half. Meaning, the guy says, I gave you $100 to watch, and the guy comes back and says, I only gave you $50 to watch. But this is the concept of a maida b'miktsas. I agree, I acknowledge half of this of responsibility. If a guy comes and says, lahadam never happened, then there's no responsibility. If I come to a person and say, you owe me $100, the guy said, I owe you a penny. But then we have the general rule. That if I want to take money out from somebody else, I need to bring the proof that I gave him $100. But the second the other guy says, I only owe you 50, but now the guy did agree to me in half. Whatever the money is, I'm in the point of half. The second the guy agrees to me that he does owe me some money, now the Torah puts the onus on him to make a vow. The vow he has to make is that I only owe you 50. Person gives this guy a donkey, an ox, a sev, a chol behema. Again, he have another a klal, a prat uklal. He have a prat that it says amer shay iseh. Then he says b'chol behema. That's a prat. He says a particular animal, and then he says a klal, chol behema. And everything is learned from lishmer, to watch, or mace, and the animal dies. A nishba broke a limb. A nishba was captured. Somebody stole it. Ein raya, no one saw it. So Rashi says, this is all brought in the Gemara Masechta Baba Kama. First section was standing concerning an unpaid custodian. So an unpaid custodian is not responsible unless the person touched the object. It was pesheya, negligent. A non-paid custodian is not responsible for something that's stolen from his house. Therefore, the Torah exempts the custodian from theft, as is written, and if it's stolen from the man's house, the sheep is not found, the homeowner approaches the judges or an oath. I didn't touch the object. Thus, you learn that he exempts himself with an oath. Now the Torah talks about a different kind of custodian. This section, however, is stated concerning a paid custodian. I came to somebody to watch my object, and I'm paying him to watch the object. That's a paid custodian. Therefore, he's not exempt if the deposit was stolen, as it's written. We'll soon see. If it was stolen, in verse 11, from him he shall pay. But in the case of an accident beyond control, my house burned down. Your object was there. What should I do? It died. You gave me a cow to watch, and it died. And died. What should I do? Such as the animal died by itself, or broke a limb, or my house, I was armed, robbed, not it was stolen. The difference between Gezel and Geneva. Armed robbery. Bandits broke into my house in the middle of the day, and they armed robbed my house, tied me up, and they ransacked my house. And your object was one of the things they ransacked. How can I control that? And no one was there to see it, to testify concerning the matter, right? If you have witnesses, any aspect of witnesses, we're talking about a situation, there's no witnesses. We are accepting the words of the custodian. In the first case also, we're accepting the words that that says take an oath. But if there's witnesses, there's witnesses. There's no witnesses in this situation. Now, what do? Again, the guy needs to take an oath. So then the custodian, the paid custodian, needs to take an oath that he did not touch the object. It would put the object away to be watched. The luck of Baila, and the owner shall accept it, and the custodian doesn't have to pay. So now she says he must swear. Again, there's no witnesses. We have no witnesses. It's only the words of the custodian. He has to swear so, as he says, that is beyond his control, and he did not lay a hand upon it to use it. The second he does that, he's now negligent. Now he's a borrower. Second, he uses it. So in both cases of a non-paid custodian, a paid custodian, we're talking about in a situation that he did not touch the object. Touch means he used the object. Touch, he has to touch it to put it in the closet. It means he did not use the object. He didn't take the goblet and use it on the Shabbos table. Because if he laid a hand upon it and afterwards something beyond his control happened, forget it, he is liable. Any damages and any accidents once he used the object. The luck of Baila, what means the owner shall accept the vow. And the custodian is free. So right now we have learned two laws, but we will not finish totally. We learned two laws, the laws of a non-paid custodian and a paid custodian. If it is stolen from him, when a paid custodian, if the guy comes to court and said, oh, somebody stole it, not a gazla, not armed robbery, but it was stolen from my property, since he's paid, he's a paid custodian, he needed to protect the object from people stealing it from his house. If it was torn apart, he shall bring a witness for it. The torn one shall not pay. What does that mean? Lion came in and ate your cow. He shall bring witnesses to testify that the animal was torn apart in a way that's beyond his control, and he's exempt. Torah does not say for a torn one he shall not pay, but for the torn one. Hatreifa, the torn one. Should have said treifa, what's the hay? For one type of torn animal, he does pay. For another type of torn animal, he does not pay. For an animal torn apart by a cat, a fox, or a marten, he must pay. For an animal torn apart by a wolf, a lion, and a bear or a snake, he does not pay. So that's the extra hay. The extra hay, the Gemara learns that it's a specific torn apart. If your cat killed the animal, that's not an unforeseen, that's not a uncontrollable situation. If a lion came into my thing, how can I control a lion? How can I stop a bear from coming in? And I can't. I came in. But if you should have controlled your dog not to bite my animal. That's where the hot today for the head teaches a special torn apart. Torn apart that's out of your control. Now, who's whispering you to reason that way? Proof is, as written, if it dies, breaks limb, or it's captured. Just as with death, he cannot save it. So too, the breaking limb and captivity that he cannot save it. Since the Torah puts all these kind of situations together, it teaches us the one means an honest, an unforeseen, uncontrollable act. I was the normal protecting your animal like my other animals, and a lion broke in, a bear broke in, a snake broke in. I couldn't control that. But your dogs and your cats and other things that you could control, you should have made sure that they don't hurt my animal. And if they did hurt my animal, then you are responsible. In case of less ferocious beasts like a fox, since the shepherd could have saved his charge, he's liable. Now we go to the next kind of custodian. Verse 13. If somebody borrows something. So in essence, you're a custodian. You borrowed something to somebody. You become a custodian. You become a borrowed custodian. Mess, and the thing dies. I borrowed a cow from you to plow my field, and the cow died. And the owner is not with him at the time of the situation. This is a very unclear. The whole argument with the Gemara means when the owner is not with him. Shalim is shalim. So a borrower is liable for any kind of situation, unless the owner is not with him. That's what it says. The verse teaches us, Rashi says, concerning a borrower, he's liable for accidents beyond his control. A borrower, the second I borrow something, I'm a custodian. But since I'm a borrower custodian, I'm using the object. I'm borrowing it to use. I'm not borrowing it to watch it for you. I'm borrowing because I need to use the object. So I borrowed a cup of a goblet from you, and then a wind came and blew it off my table. I'm responsible. Unless the owner of the bull is not with the borrower doing his work. So let's say I borrowed the cow from you, or I buy the cup of thing and you're sitting there and you're using my cup that I borrowed from you. Are you with me with the ox that I borrowed and they died? Then I'm not responsible. But it's an interesting law. The Torah says, borrowing something, I'm totally responsible unless the owner of the object the lender is there. In Balav Imay La Yishalem, if the owner is with him, I'll not pay. Now the Torah says the fourth one, Im Sacharu, if he's hired a renter. A borrower is for free. I borrow something for no pay. Then you have the fourth level, a renter. It comes with its hire. This is interesting wording of the Torah. And there's again a lot of there's a big machlekes, a big argument of Gemara. What is a renter? Is a renter like a paid custodian? Non-paid custodian? What is a renter? So let's go. Rashi says, in Balavimai, whether the animal, the owner is with him doing the same work, or he's with him doing a different work. If the animal owner was with him, with the borrower, at the time of the loan, He, the owner, need not to be with him at the time the limb was broken or the animal died to make him exempt. And this is the whole Gemara, the exact one, as I said before. What means the bar was with him? So the time of the accident or the time of the loan. Here Rashi says, even if it's not the time of the accident. Im sacharu, if the bull was not borrowed, but hired, rented, and it came into the hands of the hirer for a fee, not through lending. And he, the hirer, does not have a complete benefit of the animal, for he used it through its hire. And he does not have the stature of a borrower to be liable for accidents beyond his control. Torah, however, did not specify the status. What's the status of a renter? Whether he's judged like an unpaid custodian or like a paid custodian. Therefore, the stages of, therefore, you find in the Gemara concerning them, how does a hire in case of an accident? Amir says he's like a paid custodian. Rabbi Yehuda says he's like a paid custodian. This you can find in Masechta Bava Metzia. There's a lot of Gemara on this, and you should learn it one day. Verse number 15. If a man seduces a psula, a virgin, I say Rasha, which is not betrothed, the shachavim, and they have relationship. So the Torah tells us, law, that if a person, man and a woman have a relationship, unmarried woman has a relationship with a man, now the woman can demand marriage. She says, Kiyafati seducer, he speaks to her heart until she yields to him. And so is the Aramaic explanation of the Aramaic, the equivalent to Pisri in the Hebrew. He should stipulate for her a dowry. He has to get married. If she wants to marry him, he has to marry her. As in the custom of a man and his wife, that he writes to her a ksuba and shall marry her. That's it. So that would stop all relationships out of marriage. Second, you have a relationship with this woman. Now you have to marry her. If she wants to get married, you have to marry her. Finished. You cannot. You have no choice. If she's too young, she's underage. So now it's up to the father, because she cannot marry herself. She's underage. So if the father refused to give him in marriage, he shall weigh out money according to the dowry of virgins, which is a fixed 50 silver shekel. The case one who grabs a virgin forcibly against her, as a state laid in Deuteronomy. The man who lay, give her maiden's father 50 shekel. So that's the law. If we're talking about a situation where she's under 12, there the father can say, if she wants to marry him, the father can either say, okay, I give my daughter a marriage, or not. That's his choice. But if she's an adult, then, and he's an adult, then she can demand him in marriage. She should demand him to marry her. A sorcerer is not allowed to live. And she shall be executed by the court. This applies both to male and female. Even though this word says in the word of a female, it doesn't make a difference. Text usual, those who practice sorcery are usual women, the Gemara says. And then the Gemara says they were mainly women who used to do these sorceries. But really, the law of a sorcerer is whether he's a man or a woman. Kol shechav and behema, whoever lies carnally with an animal, bestiality, Moisuma shall be put to death. As he says, by stoning, a man who has carnal relation with an animal is just as liable as a female who has carnal relation with an animal. Doesn't make a difference whether the man had a relation with the animal or the woman had a relation. Verse 19. One who slaughters a sacrifice to God shall be destroyed. Except for the Lord alone. Rashi says, I'm not going to go through so Rashi. The Rashi is like Kim and pagan deities val the Kim and the Lamed. And Rashi goes to the whole leather. The Rashi is let's explain Lelikim, the Lamed. What is the meaning of the Lamed? It brings all the cases where there's a Lamed before a word, Lelik, to a deity. Yechram, what means Yechram shall be put to death. Now, why does it say shall be, why say it's destroyed? Why does it say put to death? Is a death penalty not mentioned elsewhere? And you shall take a man and a woman, and they shall be stoned, so they will die. Since the Torah did not specify in which type of worship is liable death, so you did not say that for all types of worship, one is liable death. Torah came specifically to specify you here. He who slaughters a sacrifice, the God shall be destroyed. To inform you that just a slaughtering is a type of worship performed inside a temple. I also include the one who burns incense or parts of an animal or performs libation, which is a type of worship inside a temple. That means a service. So it's against the Gemara. Service, that what the Torah says to service an idol means to service an idol the way you service God. Any of the services in the Beis Hamikdash, if you did that service to that idol, one idol, now you did the service of an idol. So the form of libation, which is type of service inside a temple, and people are liable performing it for idolatry, whether or not it's customary to worship that particular deity in that manner. Whether, even though people don't sacrifice to this deity, that's not the way they serve their deity. But if a Jew does a sacrifice, since sacrifices was only done in the Beis Hamikdash, now you have done a service to an Avodah Zarah. However, for other types of worship, example, one sweeps, sprinkles water on the stand before the idol, embraces it, kisses it, he's not liable for death. But he warned against it. He is liable to receive lashes, but not liable for death. This is the whole Gemara. So when it comes to Avodah Zarah, it's not so simple. The concept of the law of worshiping an idol that the Torah puts you to death. It needs to be very specific kind of a way that you worship the idol. And in essence, you have to worship the idol the way you worship God in the Beis Hamikdash. Unless it's a specific way of worshiping God. I mean, that's the way this nation worships the idol. So you have to know the laws of idol worship. Verse 20. You shall not mistreat a stranger. You should not oppress him. So this is, people you're not allowed to, in essence, of people that are immigrants. Should not mistreat, taunt by words. Don't rob him. Take advantage of people that immigrate into the land of Israel. You get him Isa. If you taunt him, you could also taunt you and say you are also strangers. You're all strangers. Do not reproach your neighbor with the fault that you have your own. This Gemara, the famous expression of Gemara. I'll underline in the Hebrew. Mum shabach al temach lachavrecha. Don't of a mum, a negative in you. Don't talk to your friend about it. First, fix your own negative, and then fix somebody else's negative. So don't taunt a ger. Don't taunt a stranger when you were strangers too. We're all strangers. So this means every expression of a ger means a person who was not born in the country or comes from another country to sojourn. Now, generally, you should know the Torah, ger, the word ger is a convert also. You have to know exactly in the context of the Torah what he's talking about. Is he talking about a convert? Or the Torah talking about a a stranger, an immigrant. Over here, the Torah is talking about an immigrant. The Torah tells you you're not, people can come, a guy can come live in it, so and get Toshav. We know that as long as he doesn't worship idols. So, but you shouldn't taunt him. You shouldn't take advantage of people that come to immigrate into your country because you're immigrants too. You don't oppress a widow or an orphan. I mean, Torah says the question is the same applies to all people. I mean, don't taunt anybody. So why does Torah say don't oppress a widow or an orphan? You don't oppress nobody. So the Torah tells us it's a usual situation, and self-understood, weak people, orphan, or an orphan, a widower, you can take advantage of such kind of people. So if the Torah tells you shouldn't taunt them, you shouldn't taunt anybody. But these people, it's easy to taunt. It's easy to take advantage of a widow or an orphan. They're weak. Because if you oppress them, you should realize this. Self-understood. How do you know I taunted them? How can you take me to court? I mean, how do you know that I did this? How do you know that I did this specifically against them? The self-understood. This the Eibishter knows. God knows if you are taking advantage of somebody because of his weakness. Or her weakness. She's a widow. If you oppress him, beware. Yitzhak alive. If he cries out to me, I will surely hear his cry. So now she says that he missed a kasha. This is a short verse to say it threatens punishment, but does not delineate his punishment. It's similar, therefore, whoever kills Cain, Shvayim, he doesn't try to say what he's going to do exactly. Threaten does not delineate his punishment. Here too, if you oppress him, is an expression of a threat. If you oppress him, the orphan, you will ultimately see what's coming to you. Why? Because he cries out to me. What is the punishment? The Torah does not. Mikra kotzer. That is a short verse, so to say. The verse doesn't end. If you do that, you'll see what will happen. It doesn't say later on, different parsha, it does say expression. God says, you express you oppress a widower, I'll make your wife a widower. Harapi, this next verse. Harapi, my wrath will be kindled. I will slay you with the sword. And your wives will become widowers. You'll get the same feeling. Your wives will get the same feeling what you're giving this woman. She says, for the implication of what is said, I will slay you. Do I not know that the wives will be widowers and children orphans? And this is another curse, namely, the wives will be bound to living widows. Meaning that the widow that you pained, the Eibishter will make her mitzvah, the Eibishter will bless her, and she will remarry. And she will not be a widower anymore. She'll be a married woman. But the person that makes the widow pain, I'll make his wife a widow forever. I will make his wife a widower forever. You will be killed in the war, the cherev, and nobody will know. And now your wife will be an aguna, what's called an aguna, but she cannot get married. No witness to their husband's death, and thus they'll be forbidden to marry. They'll be a widow forever. Children will be orphans because the court will not allow them to have their father's property. So they'll be destitute. They will not be able to inherit anything because maybe you're alive. And how can they give inheritance to a situation where they don't know if you're dead or not? They don't know whether they died or they're captured. God says, be careful. Verse 24. If you lend money to my people, to the poor person with you, don't behave to him like a lender. It's a simon neshech. Do not oppose interest. Rashi says, Rabbi Shmuel says, every im in the Torah is an optional except three. Im, if. Over here, it's not if, it's when. And this is one of them. Mechilta im is usually if, which refers to something optional, denoting an accident that may occur or not occur. Over here, it means, explains in this case, lending money to the needy is an obligation. The Rambam writes that's the most greatest, it's the highest level of tzedakah, to lend somebody money. It's an obligation, it's charity, it's tzedek, it's a righteousness. That's Ami. If a member of my people, of Jews, and a Gentile apply for a loan, the member of my people have preference. A poor person and a rich person apply for a loan, the poor person takes preference. If a poor of a city and the poor of another city apply for a loan, the poor of the city takes preference. And this is the meaning: when you lend money, lend it to my people and not to a Gentile, which is not my people. To the poor person and to which person? The one who's with you. Help the people of the city first. Help the Jewish people of your city first. Should help Goyim too. When there's a Jew that's in need, you need to help them first. If you have enough money to lend to only one person, lend to a Jew rather than a non-Jew. If the Gentile will pay interest and you're not allowed to take interest to a Jew, you must lend. You might say, why should I lend it to a Jew? When I lend it to a Jew, I don't get interest. When I lend it to a guy, I get my interest. You should lend it to a Jew. Another meaning to my people. You should not behave towards him as a borrower in demanding manner when you lend him, for he's a member of my people. After the Tila Kenosha, don't become like an aggressive lender. As a ani imach, the poor person who's with you, look at yourself as if you were the poor person. Have his feeling when somebody comes and he needs money to borrow money. Ili Kenosha, do not demand it forcibly. If you know that he doesn't have the money to repay you, do not appear to him as if you have lent it to him, but as if you have lent it to him. Do not embarrass him. That's number one. Do not embarrass him. Do not make him feel oppressive. Neshech is ribis. Neshech is also biting. Because ribis is like a biting of a snake, which bites by making small wounds in the person's foot. And either person does not even feel the wound. Right? That is interest. Suddenly, interest takes you over. Suddenly it spreads and swells up as far as his crown. So too interest. He doesn't feel it. And it is not noticeable until the interest accumulates and the cost of a considerable sum of money. Suddenly he owes much more money interest. Verse 25. If you take your neighbor's garment as security, took a loan, he took collateral. Collateral, he took his garment. Until the sun said, you shall return it to him. Chaval Tachla, no expression of Chabala, means security given to the time of the loan. Mashkin, collateral, but which is exacted from the debitor when the debt becomes due. And he, the debtor, does not pay. Torah repeats taking of security, implying that one may take security, even many times. The Holy One, blessed is He, says, how much do you owe me? Your soul sends to me every night, giving an account, found guilty before me, and I return it to you. You take and return, take and return. So the Torah says, I gave you security, I gave you an neshama as security. And every time they come and my security is abused, My neshama comes to heaven and it's abused, and I return it to you. I return it to you. Over here is the same thing. You take security from somebody, return it to him. If he needs it, return it to him. If a person needs the garment, he gave the garment as security. He needs the garment, whether it's at nighttime, as the Rashi will say in a minute, or if he needs it for the night, he needs it for the day, what the garment was. So return to him. Like I return, I also gave you security. I gave you a neshama, and then you give it back to me, and I give it back to you. Say, my darling, the one I give it back to you. Adba Hashemis, the entire day you shall return it to him until the sunset. When the sun sets, you may again take it until the next morning arrives. The verse speaks about a garment worn by day, which he does not need at night. But this is only his covering, and this he needs it. This is his night garment. You take it away from him, he's not going to have a night garment. It's his garment for his skin. With what shall he lie? How is he going to go to sleep at night without his garment? Well, I lie again. He's going to cry out to me, this poor man. We took a collateral as garment. Shamaiti, and I will listen. Because I am gracious. Because of this tal is his cloak. Simlasi, this is a shirt by my Yishkav. This comes to even include a spread. He took away his, if you took away his, he took a collateral, his bed sheets. He took his blanket. How is he going to sleep at night without a blanket? Give it back to him at night. Let him sleep in his blanket. And the next day, ask him back for the collateral, but give it back to him. As Rashi said before, learn from me. I give it back to you. You should give it back to him. That completes the Chumash. It's a lot of Chumash. We start now, chapter 7, 27. Alter Rebbe continues his previous chapter. Alter Rebbe stated that sadness hinders one service of God in general, and his battle with Yetzer Hara in particular. He therefore discussed the means of overcoming sadness caused by material concerns and by anxiety over sins, whether it's physical issues that I have in my life, whether it's spiritual issues that I have in my life. In this chapter, the next, we'll discuss another type of melancholy that caused by concern over one's sinful thoughts and desires. This category itself may be further subdivided into two, where these thoughts occur while one is occupied with the material affairs, and when these thoughts disturb him, the service of God in the time of prayer. This chapter, Alter Rebbe discusses the first situation. It occurs in time of material affairs. It states not only these thoughts no cause of sadness, contrary, they should give him rise for joy. Let's see what the Alter Rebbe says. If his sadness is not stems from anxiety over sins, because that I told you have to deal with that. You have to do tshuva. You have to make that a certain time. People that their mind doesn't let them live. They constantly have in their mind, they have sinful thoughts and desires. So he constantly has these thoughts that come to his mind. Not Avedis. I'm not worried about sin. I'm supposed to have what's called machshava reis, of evil thoughts that come to my mind, that bother me. If these thoughts come to him, not in the time of service. It comes in the time of his own affairs. He's doing mundane matters. Or the like. Adarabba, the opposite, the contrary. Yes, he should be happy with his lot. What's his lot? Even though it falls these thoughts in his mind, the Eibishter gives him the capability of overcoming his thoughts. God gave him a mitzvah, so to say. In essence, the Eibishter gave him the Eibishter wanted to give him chusim, he wanted to give him merits. Therefore, he throws constantly in him thoughts, machshavaras, so that to be able to move away from it, to do a mitzvah that has out there to say in the moment. He does a mitzvah that we say in the Shema every day. It's clear that we here we're speaking about one who does not willfully dwell in sinful thoughts. When he does so, he's a sinner. We're not talking about that. As the previous chapter already dwelt with status rising for sin. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a guy who suddenly he's in the middle of work and suddenly he has a machshavara. He has an evil thought comes up to his mind. Now at that moment, he can do a mitzvah. The kayim mashenema to now he has a mitzvah to fulfill the pasuk that says should not follow after your heart and after your eyes. With which you go astray. So only when sinful thoughts enter one's mind can he fulfill this command. I see something, right? We all know that. We have a computer. This is easy, happens constantly. Suddenly something comes on the computer that we shouldn't see maybe, that we shouldn't dwell on, but it's there. Now I had to move it away. So I could do the mitzvah. I didn't control that. They went on the computer. Came up as an ad, came up as something in the news, came up. What do? It's there. Now it's bothering me. So this, I can fulfill the command. But the intention of the verse is not to go on a level of such thought would not occur to him. It's the level of tzaddik, who have eradicated all evil from us. He doesn't care. He doesn't see anything. He only sees good. He wouldn't even look at such a thing. Only then this verse is not addressing tzaddik. The verse refers to the one who has such thoughts. The one who can look at such a thing, don't go straight to what you see. You saw something, move it away, move your thought away, move your eyes away. So that's the command. The verse refers to one who does have such thoughts, and is commanded to banish them. After that, it continues. The Torah over there, when the Torah says you shall not be astray from your eyes, I'm talking to a tzaddik. But to call a tzaddik going astray. Tzaddik never goes astray. Who goes astray? We that are not tzaddikim, that we see something and suddenly we can move off. We see something. The pasuk is talking to a Beinani. Who's in his mind enter erotic thoughts. Whether it's innocent by nature or otherwise. But there's a difference. Why this thought, erotic thought, came to your mind? It came to your mind one reason. So you should do the mitzvah. It came to your mind because that's your nature. Because you have the capability of having such kind of thoughts. And you have the possibility of having this negative thought. Now do the mitzvah. Now that you moved, that you had the thought, that it came up to your mind, that's normal. You're a human being. Now do the mitzvah. Now do the mitzvah. Move away from it. So when he averts his mind from it, he fulfills this mitzvah. So why are you looking at the negative? Look at the positive. I'm doing a mitzvah. The Eibishter gave me a mitzvah. The Eibishter was mazaking me that I can do a mitzvah. I can do a leisa surah. that I'm not being astray from what I see and what I hear. So in essence, I can say that in anything. If somebody comes to me and bothers me, a tzaddik would never be bothered by anybody. After the person comes to bother me, then it's coming to tell me that I should overcome it. I should overcome it. Maybe he gave me a schus. I should thank God that he gave me another capability to do something good. Muhammad Abba Sayyid Zachar of Racha, I say to say, Yoshev Alei Aver Aveda. If one who passively refrains from sin, then it's as if he did a mitzvah. So every time I move away from a sin, and I wanted to do, not I wanted to do, it came with my mind to do. The second I move away, as I did a mitzvah, how many mitzvahs I can do? Because I'm a human being, and I have all these distractions in my life. How many mitzvahs I accomplish every day? How many mitzvahs I accomplish every day by not allowing a thought to come to my mind, by distracting myself, moving away, overcoming the thought that came into my mind. So, why are you sad? You should be happy. With the compliance of this state of law. Maybe mitzvah is as if you did a positive commandment. You're happy by doing a positive commandment. You're happy you put on tefillin today. You're happy you gave stuck today. You're happy you ate toast today. Be happy that you have averted yourself from this and that and the other thing. You have averted your mind and thoughts from every negative thing that came towards you. You averted it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Alter Rebbe continues. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Why don't we really do that? Why are we not happy? Why are we not happy that the Eibishter gave us a mitzvah, right? My thought came to mind. Why am I not happy that I pushed it away? The only reason I am not happy is one reason, the Alter Rebbe says. So thus, not only should the occurrence of the thought not grieve him, you ought to bring joy to him, but only thereby is able to fulfill the commandment. The reason why I'm depressed of these thoughts is gasas, because I'm ego. I want to be something that I'm not. I think I'm a tzaddik. Why I deserve these thoughts? Why is God giving me these challenges? Am I such a tzaddik that I don't deserve challenges in life? If I'm a tzaddik, nothing would challenge me. So, he does not know his place. Everybody's complaining. Why I'm special? I'm a tzaddik. You're not. So be makemekame. Know your place. Everybody should know their place. If they're a tzaddik, they know they're a tzaddik. If they're not a tzaddik, then they should know their place. They should know who they are. They shouldn't have any sadness that they're not somebody else. Everybody should be happy who he is. And therefore, if the Eibishter gives him these, because who he is, he's not a tzaddik. And therefore, he has the capability to have immoral thoughts. He has the capability to have challenges in life. And why would the Eibishter give it that to him? God wants him to overcome it. God doesn't want him to fall into it. God wants him to overcome it. Whose such foolish thoughts surely do not occur. Look at the words of the Alter Rebbe. If a person would recognize the situation, he's far away from a tzaddik. According to the Tanya, if you learn Tanya, there's between a tzaddik and the one underneath is not like I have a paper to do. These are the 5 things I need to do. become a tzaddik. There's no kind of thing. The tzaddik, between a tzaddik and a beinoni, it's a world apart. It's a whole different reality. So therefore, it's not my reality. A tzaddik is not my reality. My reality is alavai beinoni. I wish I was a beinoni. And if I comprehend that's my reality, I wish I'm a beinoni, then therefore I would never be sad who I am. I know who I am. I am not a tzaddik, and therefore I have the capability and the possibilities of evil thoughts coming into my mind and these kind of outer challenges to come because I'm not a tzaddik. If I was a tzaddik, nothing would bother me. Nobody and anything would bother me. I would be totally focused on my service of God, and nothing else would care. Nothing else would matter. Not that it matters, that shows me alone that I'm not a tzaddik. And you know what? That's not the end of the world. Not a terrible thing, not being a tzaddik. That's not who you are. You have to know who I am. And who am I? I'm a person who's striving and struggling to be a middle person. And therefore, I'm a full possibility that evil thoughts are going to come into my mind. And therefore, I now can do more mitzvahs. I can do more good things. The Eibishter gave to me a mitzvah that he didn't give to a tzaddik. And that mitzvah is, do not follow what you see and what you feel. Do not go astray from what you see. Do not go astray from what you hear. Do not go astray from what you see. Take control of myself. So if I see something, move away. If I hear something, if I feel something, doesn't mean I have to do it. And then when I don't do it, I did a mitzvah. So that's like if one would recognize the situation that he's very far from the tzaddik. I wish that I would be a middleman. Not a wicked man all the days of my life. I feel even 1 hour. I wish I'm not a wicked man 1 hour. I'm a middleman. I'm not going to be a tzaddik. It's far from my existence. Alavai beinoni. I wish I'm a middleman that can control myself. So stop being somebody else. Stop wanting to be. That's ego. That's your ego. It's my ego saying I have to be different. I'm special. You are special. You're special who you are. Because God made you who you are. God didn't make you a tzaddik. Didn't give you the potential to be a tzaddik, maybe. As the Alter Rebbe said before. Maybe you don't have the potential to be a tzaddik. You're the guy who's going to be the beinoni, halavai beinoni. You wish you could be a beinoni. And therefore, even the beinoni, as we learned, the middleman, has the nefesh habahamis, has the animalistic soul, and therefore he can he can suddenly see something and have a thought, come to a thought. Oops, I saw something I desire. And the pasuk says, be careful what you see. Move away from it. I know that you saw it, overcome it. And this is surely the due measure of a beinoni and his task. To subdue the evil impulses. The thoughts that arouse from his heart. To completely avert his mind from it. Push it away with both of his hands, as explained in chapter. And the Alter Rebbe explains that the evil of the soul of the beinoni remains vigorous. His task is to prevent him expressing it in thought, speech, and that's a constant battle. Just because he moved his mind away from this situation doesn't mean another situation is not going to come up his way. It might happen 10 times a day, or maybe even more, especially today in the generation we live in, that everything we see with our eyes, and we constantly looking things with our eyes. So therefore, I have the capability of doing this constantly, mitzvah after mitzvah. And realize with every repulsion of his thought from his mind, Sitra Achra, the other side is suppressed here below in this world. And through the arousal from below, in our case, the initiative of the Beinoni in suppressing his evil side produces a corresponding arousal from above. The Sitra Achra above, the supernal world, the root of the Sitra Achra in this world, which soars like Eliezer, is also suppressed. To accomplish what's written in Tagbia Kanesh, though it soars like an eagle, God says, even though Sitra Achra evil soars like an eagle, I'll bring it down. No, Masha. Now the Alter Rebbe says, and we should realize that the Zohar in the portion of Truma, page 128, extols the Godol Nachas Ruach. We should realize the great satisfaction we give God every time we suppress something here in this world. Every time we suppress something here in this world, we give God the ultimate satisfaction that occurs when Sitra Achra is subdued here below. The Zohar says that when a Jew suppresses the Sitra Achra, when a Jew suppresses the evil in this world, for a moment, he suppresses that evil. He doesn't allow that evil to enter his mind. He doesn't allow the negative to enter his mind. He doesn't allow his heart, desire to enter his mind. The glory arises above it. By his glory rise above all, more than by any other praise. David says, I love the avodah of a Jew that suppresses his Yetzer Hara. By me, that's the most important service that can be given. More than other service that's done in the world. Stalik da yatimikula. And it ascends in a greater than all else. So not only are you doing a mitzvah, every time I suppress my Yetzer Hara and I don't allow it to take it over me, I suppress it, I overcome it. I'm doing a mitzvah that I say in the Shema every single day. I'm doing a good deed, and I'm doing a mitzvah that I'm giving the Eibishter. That's not doing a mitzvah. I'm suppressing something. And when I suppress something in this world, is a great revelation on the upper world. My small step in this world is a great movement above, is an unbelievable revelation above. A small step in this world is a great revelation of godliness in the upper worlds, the Zohar writes. And therefore, the Jew should realize, not only should be happy because with the mitzvah he's doing, he should be so happy because he is giving revelation not only to the mitzvah, but to the whole world. So he should be sad that he has struggles. He should be sad that he has these struggles. The Alter Rebbe says that he's sad that he has these struggles, if he comprehends what I just said, is totally egotistic. He should be happy that he has these struggles in his life, that he can overcome these struggles. So he should be sad if he doesn't overcome it. Now he has to do tshuva because he hasn't overcome it. But every time, in essence, he overcomes a struggle in his life, he should make a kiddush, because God makes a kiddush. God is happy. He should be happy. It is this evil thoughts which enter the mind of a Beinoni that enables him to fulfill God's command and averting his attention from them, thereby subduing Sitra Achra, and by God, it's an unbelievable. What a beautiful Tanya. learned today. Today is the 23rd day of the month, which is chapter in Tillim. It's chapter 108 to chapter 112. You chapter 108 to chapter 112, you would done the chitas. Wish you all a great day, wonderful day. I invite you all again tonight at 7:30, either here or on Zoom. Do a wonderful class, the JLI class, Book Smart, phenomenal class.
I thought you were going to